I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask the city clerk to call the roll.
Mayor Sorrell?
Here.
Assistant Mayor Grasso?
Here.
Councilor Kennedy?
Here.
Councilor Marchand?
Here.
Councilor Penelakis?
Here.
Councilor Hines?
Here.
Councilor Reynolds?
Here.
Councilor Whitehouse?
Here.
Councilor St. Laurent?
Here.
Before we do our invocation, I'm going to have the assistant mayor read this because she was the one that had suggested it. So we will do that with the moment of silent prayer after you get through reading it.
All right.
Okay.
Would you want me to read the first paragraph from the beginning?
What is the first paragraph say? No.
As you all know, hundreds of thousands of people were killed and injured in the December 26th disaster in Asia, and thousands are still missing. This has infected the entire world, especially because the victims were from so many countries, including our own. Let us take a moment now to remember all of these victims and pray that the world can unite to help the countries recover from this horrible act of nature.
Thank you, Joanne. We will now stand for a moment of silent prayer for those people in Asia, and then Councilor Hines will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless America.
I'd like a motion on the acceptance of the minutes of December 20th, 2004.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? We're down to approval of grants and donations. The first one being is the presentation and sorry, everybody, I forgot public comment session. We have 4 speakers tonight, and the first speaker is Tom Carroll, 500 Market Street, scrap metal debris on Market Street.
Thank you, Council. At the last City Council meeting, I came and I brought you letters from people and local business about complaining of metal debris on Market Street. It's been a major problem on Market Street for many, many years, but it's really been being brought to light as of late. I've attempted to talk to PDA about this several times, but it seems to be pushed to the wayside more times than not, and I've been trying to approach the city with this very major problem. One of the reasons I bring it to the city is based on the fact that Market Street is the city's. Let it be clear to any party who attempts to take control of something that's not in their control that it be taken by the proper parties. And I believe that Market Street is the city's. It's ours to control, and it's ours to rule the way it should be ruled, and that's by the law. The law says that there should be no metal in the streets, dropped in the streets at all. We sent them a citation. Their answer to the citation was to put a magnet man in the street and pick up the metal. I feel that that's going around the law, personally. I think the object is not to drop it in the street in the first place. I mean, after all, we don't allow our adult video stores to advertise by having a naked woman out there just because they're in the business. It's against the law to be naked in the streets. So what I did is I actually went out and tried to test myself. I grabbed a bucket, and I grabbed a magnet, and I went out in the streets, and I did it myself. And in 2 hours, this is what I collected. Okay. This problem goes a lot deeper than just some of these large pieces as well. This problem actually, as I discovered how bad this particular problem was, I found even a greater problem. There are fragments, little tiny metal scrap pieces that when I picked up, almost like hair fibers, tiny, tiny hair fibers, I almost spilled that sandwich bag full of them, and you can see it is metal. It's almost like dirt, but it's tiny, tiny, tiny fibers. I would imagine that the vehicles that drive up and down Market Street can carry this stuff into downtown. I would imagine that it can get into our sewer systems and corrode pipes a lot quicker than they should and cause repairs to our pipes that would make this a very costly project if not focused and based on. This is a major problem. I'm bringing this to your attention almost every time that there is a meeting because I'm trying to get this addressed. I would really, really appreciate if the city would write a letter to Gamel Industries, again, thanking them for the magnet man to pick it up, but no, we don't want him there. We don't want the metal in the streets, period, the end. We don't want these fibers, we don't want anything. And if you can't do it, I suggest that we attempt to shut down the operation. I know that this council may feel that it's a smaller party than the parties we're dealing with, but let it be known, nobody is above the law. No party, no nothing. So let us take a stand on this, what they seem to be a higher party in this, and take control of our street once again. Thank you.
Thank you, John. The next speaker is Ralph DiBonato, and he wants to speak on the new library fund.
Good evening, Ralph DiBonato, 1374 Islington Street. I'm using this portion of the meeting because Linda and I were impressed with the article we read in the paper about the donation will be made tonight for the new library. And although we can't match the $10,000, we felt it was time that we made a contribution, and we'd like to give a check for $100 tonight, hoping it could be included in your acceptance in the next part of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ralph. John O'Leary, a grateful citizen.
Good evening, Your Honor. Good evening, Mayor Sorrell, Assistant Mayor Grasso. That sounds nice. Members of the City Council, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John O'Leary, and I reside at 15 Nathaniel Drive in Portsmouth. For many years, I've appeared at this podium, most recently as the chair of the Library Building Committee. Tonight, I appear before you as a representative of the many grateful citizens of Portsmouth. I am grateful to those members of the council who, at your most recent meeting, voted to allow the project to provide our city with a new library to continue. I pledge to you that I will work along with other members of the Library Building Committee, the library trustees, City Manager Bohenko, Library Director Mary Ann Liss, and other members of the city's administration to provide our citizens with the quality library that they have told us they want and which they deserve at the chosen location on Parrott Avenue. We all recognize that we have been charged with a very important responsibility, and we intend to deliver. To those members of the City Council who voted at the last meeting to delay the process, I would suggest that such a delay would have the unanticipated consequence of derailing this project and could have very possibly resulted in the library not being built. I would ask that you now join with us in this effort to give our citizens what they have been asking for, a new library. The site has been chosen. The building that previously occupied this site has been deconstructed, and construction of the new library is about to begin. As a point of information, through the deconstruction process, 90% of the previous building is being recycled. At this point, we need the support of all the members of the City Council and others within the community. And with your help, we will build a library that we can all be very proud of. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. The next speaker, and I would say we've got about 4 of them coming up. It's Emma, Penelope, Wagner, and Eileen and Brian Foley regarding the new library. Welcome.
Wow.
Hello, my name is Eileen Foley. I'm a resident of Portsmouth. I live at 14 Regina Road.
My name is Emma Wager. I am also a resident of Portsmouth. I live at 24 Kensington Road. We would like to first start off by saying what a pleasure it is to be here. I came here for one reason, and that reason is to thank you, all of you. I dream of having a library, nice, big, almost like our old one, and full of people using it and lots of books.
With shelves filled with books, I must say, a job well done. One thing that I'm so excited to do is after finishing a cross-country meet or a game on the field, I can just walk over and study. How can I thank you men and women enough? But if I have the slightest little bit of courage to come up here and speak in front of Portsmouth, then you people must have a great deal of courage to make a library come true.
We realize that you have been under a lot of pressure from both sides, and we thank you for giving us a new library.
Good evening. My name is Vern Foley. I live at 14 Regina Road.
My name is Phoebe Wager, and I live at 24 Kensington Road.
I would like to take a minute and thank everyone. It was the best decision we could make. I know everyone will be happy about the library. Now the senior citizens can walk there as well as the kids. People didn't want to not make the library, but you stood by. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. That ends the public comment session, and now we are down to the approval of grants and donations. The first one is presentation and acceptance of a donation to the new library building committee from David and Nikki Splitz in the amount of $10,000. Are they here? Oh, Mary Ann. Very good, Mary Ann.
David and Nikki Seltz are out of town tonight, so they weren't able to come. So Phyllis Eldridge and I have come to make the presentation for them as representatives of the library staff, the library trustees, the new library building committee. We are grateful to the Seltzes for this donation of money. We're also most grateful to all of you. We're grateful to both the Speltzes, to you, to the people who have donated in the past, who has expressed confidence in our ability to bring a really fine library to the city of Portsmouth. And that is exactly what we intend to do. Amen. Thank you.
I just want to say that this is the beginning of what we know will be a very successful campaign, and the trustees are going to be meeting at the end of this week to get it started. So thank you all. Thank you.
I would like to state that we did kick off the fund drive for the library back in 2001. And Michael Bronski, he gave it for his father, $10,000. Kevin LaFawn, $20. V. Beers and M. Rice, $500. Adolph Boronsky, $500. Raymond Bowles, $100. David Sanderson, $200. Al Harriman, $75.35. Judith Staten, $50. Diane Boulier, $150. Claudia Moynier, $81.12. Excuse me. Seacoast Storytellers, 200. And David and Nike's list is in here. And also, I'd like to ask the council to accept the check for $100 from Ralph and Linda DiBonato tonight,
So moved. Second.
as well as the
10,000.
Does that move to
10,000.
10,000?
too. I've got that
Is that?
in here a little bit, but that's okay. We'll do theirs too. Okay, so make a motion to accept theirs too.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Your Honor, what is that? Your Honor, what is that total?
That total is $21,876.47. This kicks off the drive for the library, and I'm requesting anybody that's listening tonight, and they will be getting letters out there from the mayor, banks, wherever, to raise these funds. We had more funds raised back in '01, but it's very hard to run a fund drive without the library. We found that, so we had to stop. But we're all back there pushing. Anybody out there that would like to write a check, it's the new library building committee, and please come forward. I know a lot of them aren't fundraisers, but they can do other things to help me in my office. So, but I do want to thank you very much. It was a long time coming.
Your Honor, Your Honor, who's the new fundraising chairman?
I haven't done any of that. Alec Hansen and myself were, but Alec has left.
Are you still striving for $3 million?
Well, we're going to do the best we can. If we hadn't been held off since 2001, we might have the library out, Carol.
What do you mean by
All
that,
right,
Your
that
Honor?
takes care of that. Now we are down to the acceptance of donations to the cemetery committee, Mary and John Roth, for $25.
Should we put them all together?
Why don't we basket them, Joanne? Go right ahead.
All right. Mary and
Name
John
them
Roth for $25. Dr. Leonard Korn for $30. B. Ann Breesley for $50. And Dr. Jeffrey and Martha Fullercock for $100. Your Honor, I move that we accept these donations to the cemetery committee.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The acceptance of donations to the fire department from Walmart Foundation in the amount of $1,375.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilor Penny.
I would like to accept the donation to the fire department as listed.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The acceptance of 2004 Homeland Security Competition Grant Award.
Move that we accept this grant award to the city of Portsmouth from the state of New Hampshire Department of Safety.
Do I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? We're down to considerations of resolutions and ordinances. Third and final reading of ordinance amending Chapter 10, Article 12, Section 10-1202, off-street parking innovation, intermodal transportation, credit for Central Business A and Central Business B districts, impact fees. Would somebody like to make the motion?
Your Honor, I move to pass third and final reading of the amended ordinance as submitted.
Second.
Very good.
Your
All
Honor.
in favor, discussion, yes, Councilor Whitehouse.
Insomuch as I was absent at the last meeting, and there was some discussion on this motion for the second reading, I was quite interested in what Councilor Mashan said in reference to the limited capital, and I'd like to be brought up to speed about if an existing business wanted to expand and they was limited in the amount of capital that they have, is there a mechanism whereby they could, as the permit is submitted, submit half of the amount that's due, and then when the occupancy permit is issued, then the rest of the amount. What I'm saying is I feel like, Councilor Mashan, that there might be some burden out there if a existing business would like to expand, but yet they don't have the money to pay for that added parking of $1,200 per space. So I'd like to have either the city manager or the city attorney comment on this.
Okay. At the current time, the funds for the unmet parking need would have to be paid before a building permit would issue. I've spoken with Councilor Marchand about his comments at second reading, and I believe the councilor has some interest in exploring in the future the possibility of some amendment to that ordinance provision. But there are complicated policy decisions involved in how that amendment is made, so he wishes to do it in a more calmly deliberative manner than would be afforded at a council meeting.
Bob, what do you mean by commonly deliberative manner? I don't understand.
To analyze the policy implications involved in making changes, discuss them with the staff, and draft an amendment that can be presented in written form to the council at some point in the future.
John?
Your Honor, I just in reference to Councilor Whitehouse inquiry at the last meeting, one of the things that we can look at is also if there is a business that has a problem, we can go to the Economic Development Commission, and then a recommendation can come to the City Council to waive the provision.
All right.
And, you know, in that instance, we'll bring it to, I mean, if it's at that point, we can bring it to the City Council, we can waive the provision and ask for 2 installments. But I think Bob has hit it correctly that we have to be careful in that once you have the building permit in hand, it may be difficult to get the second payment. But if the City Council is aware of the circumstances and that happens, then at least in the future, they'll be able to be more cognizant of any of the pitfalls of having two installments. So if somebody comes and they have a burden that they feel that they can't overcome, and to get their business started, they can come to the City Council, maybe through the EDC, and ask if they waive that provision and go from there.
Yes, Councilor Marchand.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate Councilor Whitehouse bringing it up again this evening, and did speak with the city attorney about doing this in a way so that we could, and both the city manager and city attorney have brought it up. I certainly want to ease the burden of having to have all that money up front in trying to do an addition, an expansion, or a new business, but also would like to get this ordinance moving along onto the books. And in the meantime, while the wording is crafted, knowing that there may be a way to do a waiver of the process if it's done in the right way in the meantime, so that somebody doesn't get stuck while we're trying to amend it. That, at least for my satisfaction, that was good for me. But I definitely want this to happen at some point this year because in an isolated circumstance, we want to tell people in the business community we want to be friendly to the person trying to make it happen downtown, make it as business friendly as possible, and this is a way to do it. But I think there's a great ordinance that we can move on this evening.
Any other discussion? Yes, Councilor Hine.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think that normally expansion is synonymous with improvement, gain, a successful business. So I don't think that in most cases this ordinance would be attacking a business that was struggling to survive. If in fact that ever happened, then we could address it on a one-on-one basis. But I don't think that we want to hold up this ordinance in order to try to achieve that.
Yes, Councilor Farini.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would just like to note my desire to vote for this as it stands. And given that the city manager and city attorney have indicated that there is some potential flexibility, that's fine. I think it should be pointed out that it is good that we have had a discussion of flexibility, and that is important. But for the most part, from what we can see, there has been virtually no public indication that it needed modification. And certainly, if we were in a position a year to the forward, having enacted this, where we find that we have a line of the development community here at the public portion of the meeting, then I think we would want to reevaluate. But I do think, while it is certainly appropriate to be sensitive, the ordinance as crafted was undertaken with a significant amount of research, and it would be irresponsible of us to not vote for it, given the impact of any development downtown. And I'd finally add, it's a two-edged sword when you have $1,200 impact fee. And the reason I say that is you want to also ensure that whoever's going to come downtown is sufficiently robust to have their project work. So there's two ways of looking at it, and while there is some available flexibility, and that's laudable, given the lack of general opposition to it publicly that I can see, I certainly think it's appropriate to vote for it, and I will.
Any other discussion before the vote? We are ready for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Now we're down to presentations and consideration of written communications and petitions. A letter from Valerie Dixon, National Multiple Sclerosis Society, requesting permission to hold the annual MS Walk on Sunday, April 17th, 2005.
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
move the
Councilor.
city manager with power.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? A letter from D. Martin, the American Lung Association of New Hampshire, requesting permission to hold the 20th Annual Clean Air Challenge Seacoast Bike Tour on Saturday, May 14th, 2005, and Sunday, May 15th, 2005. And I'm going to ask Ned to make the motion. He's our bicycle man.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm very pleased to move this item to the city manager with power.
Second.
Yes,
Question,
Assistant Mayor.
So that they were going to a small portion of Portsmouth. What part of Portsmouth would that be, do you know?
I don't. I don't, but I can get the answer for you.
Okay, thank you. I'd also like to say that a couple of people have said that they wonder why we refer so many things to the city manager with power, and I would like to explain that it's to expedite the council's time, and that it's usually only routine things that go to the city manager with power. If there's anything controversial, we always ask him to report back to us, but there was some questions about that, and I thought it would be a good time to explain it. Thank you.
Any other discussion? You all ready for the vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? A letter from Sherm Pridham supporting the construction of a new library at the Parrott Avenue site. I'm going to ask the Assistant Mayor to read that letter, please.
Certainly. Dear Mayor Sorrell, thank you for your continuing support for constructing a new library at the Parrott Avenue site. I realize that this project has required a tremendous amount of patience and dedication from you, the City Council, and the many public supporters of building a new library. A new library on this site will be something Portsmouth will cherish and use for a very, very long time. Although some individuals, including some restaurant owners, have suggested that the siting of the new library could serve as an economic engine for a certain section of the city, such an objective should not be the driving force of the site selection process. A library needs to be near the people it serves, and in Portsmouth, these people are its taxpayers and residents. A public library is not meant to be a tourist attraction to people visiting the area. The siting of a library is very different from the siting of a restaurant, a nightclub, or retail store. The public library serves the informational, educational, and recreational needs of Portsmouth citizens. The new library on Parrott Avenue will be adjacent to the population centers of Portsmouth, two of its schools, and its major senior citizen residences. That position enhances use of the library by its citizens, and it is the library's mission to serve its citizens, not to attract tourists to Portsmouth. Although I may now reside in Stratham, Portsmouth is still very much a part of me. I served as the library director in Portsmouth for almost 30 years, and my family ties to Portsmouth go back to before the Revolutionary War. I care deeply about what happens in Portsmouth, and I hope you will allow me to add my voice to the thanks and the congratulations due to you as mayor, the city council, city officials, and citizen volunteers for the patient and dedicated service to bring a new library building to Portsmouth. The public library is dedicated to the free flow of information and exchange of ideas. It will be a living, breathing monument to Portsmouth residents for 100 years.
Thank you, Assistant Mayor. Now we're down to the city manager, and would you believe this? John has no items that require action tonight, but I know you must all have some questions for him under informational items.
Well, thank you, Your Honor. Just to reiterate that we did leave some directions for city council members for the District 24 meeting tomorrow night for the targeted aid discussion. And so if you have the availability to be there, it would be helpful. That's at 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. in the auditorium at Winnicott High School in Hampton. The other issue that has come up that I don't have listed here is that the Shipyard Association is considering a trip down to Washington to talk to the BRAC, the Closure Commission, and have indicated that they would be looking for a representative from the city. They've indicated that they would like to see the mayor. If the mayor is unable to travel, they asked if I would be able to attend, and maybe one other person. So I talked to the mayor, and she's not able to travel to Washington unless she changed her mind in the last couple of days.
I won't fly.
So we won't be taking the train there. But
right.
We may want to discuss that at some point. I think what they said to me, it was important to get down there, along with the other people that are going down from other parts of the country. I suppose your absence is more noticeable than your presence. So that's something that'll be coming up, and I suppose there'll be representatives from the chamber and others. But, Your Honor, unless I hear any objections from the City Council, I'll commit somebody to go, include if it's me, that's fine. As city manager, I'll be willing to go down. It's a one-day trip down, unless I hear any objections. But I thought it's important that you realize that they're looking to do that because it's now starting to get to the point where there are going to be some decisions made, and it's a serious situation at this point.
I want you all to know that we worked very hard for BRAC, and I sent out 149 letters to all the towns and cities surrounding us with a beautiful proclamation, and they did get monies back. And so John has been watching it very closely, and so I can't think of anyone better to go with him, you know, because he knows what it's all about. But if there's any of you counselors that feel you want to go, fine. Just let us know, okay? We'll just hope and pray that the Navy Yard doesn't close. Any other? Yes.
On the same subject, Your Honor, on the city manager, I'd like to address him. As Kittery is doing something to and worrying about the impact on their city, is that something the city of Portsmouth should be concerned with also?
Well, if you recall, if I might, Counsel, I know exactly what you're saying. There is grant money available. As with the Ps, when Ps closed, we had the similar type of situation, and we received funds to a certain degree. Plus, I think Kittery is looking, because they have direct impact in town, where they might be eligible for some funding. City of Portsmouth probably could take a look at that as well, but to a lesser degree. I think those issues would have to be explored as to would it be on a regional basis, would those monies come in New Hampshire, or would they be on a city basis? So, but since the shipyard is in Kittery, they're eligible for those federal funds.
Is that something we should be pursuing possibly or looking at?
I can research it. I'm more of a, I'd like to be an optimist here, but I know what Kittery is doing and why they're doing it.
Right. Exactly.
Similar to what we did with the Air Force base closure. But I can explore it. I can do that. I haven't yet, but I can do that, and I will.
Thank you.
Very good. Any other? Yes, Assistant Mayor?
Your Honor, on the notice about the collection, the second half states that the recycling center will be closed on January 18th and it should be January 17th.
Yes. That's correct.
It's okay in the first half.
Councilor Farini?
If I may, Madam Mayor, just wanted to ask, where does that notice appear if John Q is looking for? Is it on the website?
It's on the website, yes.
Okay.
And then we put out a press release as well. So that goes out as a press release as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Councilor Whitehouse.
Yes, Your Honor. An item that's not on as informational on the agenda, but I'd like to ask the city manager a question in reference to the library. There's a lot of talk on the street that the design has changed. There's a lot of talk on the street that it's been scaled down from 38,000 square feet to less than 30,000 square feet. I'd like to set the record straight and have the city manager comment on this.
I'd raise a point of order, Madam Mayor, and ask that be considered under miscellaneous unfinished business.
Okay, very good. That's what we will do then.
I'll be bringing it up.
What was that?
I'll be bringing it up at that time.
Very good. Any other discussion with John under informational? All right, then you are down to the mayor, and that's my gavel. Joanne.
Your Honor.
Thank you. Donations for the Coalition Fund, and I want you all to be made aware that the donations are really coming in. The first one is from the town of Northampton for $2,000. The second one is the town of Rye for $5,000.
Is that a motion to accept?
That's a motion to accept.
I have a second. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next.
Next, we have the reappointment. Did you want to keep the gavel, Joanne?
No.
Oh, all right. Next, we have the reappointment of the PDA representative. And I would like whoever's going to make that motion to read it.
I'd like to make the motion.
Okay, Councilor Pandalakis.
You want us to read what it says on the paper here?
Right.
City Manager Bohinko's term as our representative to Peace Redevelopment Authority is expiring in January. Mr. Bohinko has served the council's best interests over the last 3 years. Therefore, it is my recommendation to reappoint Mr. Bohinko as a city representative for another 3-year term.
Do I get a second?
Second.
All right, discussion? Yes, Councilor.
I would like to say that I have watched John on the PDA, and I have found him to have been very faithful to Portsmouth to see that things are running in the right direction and that we're getting our best interests taken care of, and I really appreciate everything he's done.
I would just like to say that I'm sorry that Tom Carroll has left, and there's been a few other people into my office. I don't have the time to go out and listen to the PDA, but I was told that John has voted against the scrap pile many times. So I think these people should know that.
Your Honor.
Yes, John.
Since I represent the council on PDA and watch John trying to do all of the good things that Portsmouth is entitled to, there's no question if we had 2 Johns up there, or 3, we would have a majority, because as it stands now, he is appointed to many of the boards that deal with the important issues at PDA. But unfortunately, when it comes to smaller issues for Portsmouth, quite often the support is not there as it should be, but he still fights for it.
Thank you, John. And while we're on this subject about boards and commissions and all of that, we're into the council now for a few months, well, 1 month to be precise. Now, everyone that has been appointed a liaison, and if you have reports, I wished you would bring them in and bring this out, because we all can't be at the same place at once. And John, I'd like you to start doing a small presentation of your visits out there and just how everything looks, all right? Is there anyone else that would like to, that are, of course, Tom is on the planning board. It probably wouldn't hurt, Tom, for you to talk to us about different things.
I'd be happy to, and as liaison to the chamber, should anything arise there, I would also seek that it be put on the agenda.
Very good. Laura, anything in Concord? Because she is your state rep, so, you know.
Got started yet, but we're on a roll up there.
Well, if you think there's something we should know, I'd love to have you bring it into the next council meeting. Let's see, who's on the DART committee? No, I'm teasing.
Kelly made me write up my reports. She gets our reports.
Bill?
I'm on the budget committee right now, so
Yeah, I didn't put you on any other.
not yet.
No, okay. And Ned, the fees committee?
Fees committee will be meeting end of this month, I believe.
Okay, so then you should have something to report.
Absolutely.
Harold?
The Pierce Island Committee, we've come a long ways. We're in phase 3 now, which will be the final phase of the master plan. And you've had presentations by Chairman Hugh Jenks. And if you've gone over to Pierce Island, you can see 6 years in the making, and it's a very wonderful, wonderful place to visit.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And you've got the taxi running really
Please,
smooth.
no problem. I don't even mention it. It takes care of itself.
I know it, and I can remember when it was
Fighting in the
heartache.
streets.
Councilor Grasso? I mean, Assistant Mayor. I'm sorry, Assistant Mayor.
Your Honor,
Do you have anything to report?
well, just as co-chair of the building committee at the high school, that the new addition is has been up and running. Will be in March. Will be about a year that the students have been in there, and we're finishing up so that the foyer, the old foyer outside the auditorium, will be during our February vacation. They will again rebuff the old terrazzo tile that's been on that floor for 40 years, and it looks beautiful. It will be done again because the people were not quite satisfied with how it was done. I didn't even realize there was a city seal on the floor there. They've redone the men's room and ladies' room so that if you come at a function at the auditorium, the restrooms are all done up and nice and new, and it looks beautiful. They will be working still with the Career Tech in the back with our funding from the state, so that we're working on that. And we hope to have a dedication sometime this spring for the whole high school.
Now, Steve has just been put on as liaison on the Coalition of Communities. He's just getting his feet wet. So I imagine he will be coming back with different reports too. But please do it, because it keeps us up to date. Now that I kept John hanging here, this is worse than an award, John. If we have anything else, we're ready for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Unanimous. You're on, John. Now we're down to appointments, and the first one is a consideration for the planning board. Now, these are people that have already been on it that want to stay on it. John E. Reese, and we will vote on him at the next one. I will tell you again, if anyone has any problem with these applications, they're to come to me and speak about it, okay? The next one is a consideration for the planning board for Raymond Wild. Planning board, consideration, Don J. Coker. Save the Old State House, consideration, John E. Lyons, Jr.
I haven't got that.
We don't have that.
We haven't got that.
We don't have that one.
Oh, I'm sorry, I just slipped it in here and I didn't get you a copy. I'm sorry. Do you want me to hold it back until 2 weeks from now?
Oh.
All right, I'll make sure you all get a copy.
Online?
Okay, Kelly. I'm very sorry, I just slipped it in not thinking. For consideration, the Mayor's Blue Ribbon Cemetery Committee, Jennifer Marcellus. Oh, boy, I'm getting good. And this will be coming up for final vote at our next meeting.
Your Honor, just a
Yes.
question on the application, 2 references. Is that absolutely necessary? That has to be on there, right?
We have changed the applications around, Bill, so they have to give us more information.
Okay. But
We
the
found-
references are required
Yes,
on there. Okay.
very much so. To be voted on, Recreation Board, Kathleen Brown. Now, this is to be voted on. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Madam Mayor, I have a question regarding appointments.
Yes.
I noticed on the application, I've just picked up the planning board one as I think it's the same. It says, by submitting this application, you understand that this reappointment application is for consideration and does not mean you will necessarily be reappointed to this board, commission, mayor will review, et cetera, et cetera. Does that mean that others may apply given that someone is applying for reappointment or not? I'd ask the city attorney because I really don't know.
Yes, others may apply.
So if there are people out there listening that wish to apply for the positions, they may...
That is correct. They should apply.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
To be voted on tonight, trustee of the trust fund, Lee Eishelman.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Your Honor, I think we're very fortunate to have such a capable person as Mrs. Ashelman. With her background on the Public Utilities Commission, also serving on various trust funds in the past, we're very fortunate.
Yeah, we certainly are. We looked hard, but we came right up with her name, because you all remember Judge Ma was here at one of our council meetings and said it was time we put somebody on that was involved with trusts and things like that. So, anyway, I have the applications upstairs for any boards or commissions, but as I say, I don't want this to get into a muddle like it did a year ago. And that's why we have them make out a full application. So they're not here one day and gone the other. All right, now we're down to Councilor Hines.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move that we accept and place on file the minutes of the Traffic and Safety Committee meeting held December 16, 2004.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Your Honor,
Yes.
at this meeting, I asked that it be read into the minutes of the meeting, my impression of this committee. And I would like to read a small comment on it.
Okay.
Chairman Hines thanked the committee for the excellent job it has been doing. He added that he believes the Traffic and Safety Committee is probably one of the best working groups we have in the city and would like this entered into the record. And it certainly looked that way for my first term as chairman of that committee.
Thank you, John. All right, now we are down to any miscellaneous and unfinished business. And Councilor Whitehouse, this is in your field.
Yes, Your Honor, I'd like to ask once more of the city manager to comment what I'm hearing on the street. Has the design of the library changed since the last presentation before the HDC? And is there a scale down of the 38,000 square foot that was presented?
Your Honor, may I?
Yes, sir.
Counselor, no, there has been no scale down to 38,000 square feet.
All right. Let the record show, please, on this.
Absolutely.
Okay. On another issue, since I have the floor, Your Honor, I'm going to ask that I be on the agenda for the next City Council meeting and to review Rule 43, which gives reference to the public comment section. And I'm concerned about the 30-minute maximum. I'd just like to have the council think it over. I'd like to see that increase to at least 45 minutes, and I'd like to see us eliminate having to suspend the rules if we have 15 or 16 or 17 people out there speaking on various issues. I think the 30-minute mandatory limit is kind of a slap in the face, and I'd like to see it just review Rule 43, and I'll ask to be on the agenda at our next council meeting.
Bob, did you want to speak on it at all?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. What are you saying? I mean, how many minutes are you going to
Well, I'd like to see it change from 30 to 45 minutes. I don't think that's out of the ordinary. That'll give everybody, let's say 15 people are here, that'll give people 3 minutes apiece. You know, it just isn't right, Your Honor, to prevent somebody that's appearing and want their total 3 minutes. I don't think it'd be a burden upon us, and I don't like to see that 30-minute mandatory in Rule 43.
Okay.
And we can discuss that at our next regular City Council meeting.
Very good. Councilor Pandalakis?
Yes, I have a miscellaneous one.
Oh, okay. Are you all,
I will too.
Bill was first. Yes,
Oh,
Bill.
no, sorry.
Oh, all right.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to ask this council if we could possibly write a letter, ask the city manager to write a letter to the chief of police and ask him to bring in the highway safety patrol that takes care of trucks and whatnot on Market Street Extension. I believe it's time that we did that. We've had a lot of complaints. Evidently, these trucks are not being covered properly, or they wouldn't be dropping stuff off on the highway. And it is my impression that the state police cannot come into the city of Portsmouth without permission or without an invitation from the chief of police. And I would like to see us follow up on what Mr. Carroll has said and other people. We had a letter from a cab that had flat tires. We've had other things that's come before us, and I think it's time that this council took a stand on that mess that's in the road, never mind what the mess is on the floor. So I just hope that the council is would vote in favor of that.
Okay. John?
I mean, if there's a consensus of the council, I'll draft that up to the chief. Is there a consensus?
We want to vote on that?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, all in favor?
What do we vote
on?
A letter.
A letter,
Oh,
if I understand it, Councilor Pantelakis, a letter or a memorandum to the chief asking that the state police truck patrol come in and do routine, I guess it would be stops to make sure that they're complying with the laws.
Right.
Everybody heard it? You all ready for the vote?
I don't do that. They're called the Safety Highway Patrol, I believe.
Safety Highway Patrol? All right, I'll talk to the chief.
All ready for the vote, everyone? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Bill?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm on the same idea that Councilman Kanalakis is on, with Tom Carroll bringing in this obvious, very dangerous stuff in the street. And I'm not quite sure how to approach this one, but I was just looking at, I'd like to see the council sit down and discuss this problem, because I think it is a problem. And since he's appeared before the PDA and doesn't seem to be getting anywhere, and he's going to be coming here at every one of our meetings, he has a very valid concern here. And I think this council if we could sit down and at least discuss it, maybe, I'm not sure, at a work session or whatever, but, to see what we might do, but the letter would be part of it too.
John?
I think, Counselor, it's a good idea, but my suggestion would be this, is that right now we have a contract in place. I think Councilor Pantelakis' recommendation to have the Safety Highway Patrol go in and make sure that they're complying with the laws is appropriate at this point. But to sit down now and talk about the issue, I think we should probably sit down right before the contract comes up again with the PDA. And at that point, it would make more sense, because then it would be fresh. We could draft up what our concerns are relative to the scrap issues. So I'm going to check tomorrow to see when their contract is coming up, and we'll try to get something together if that's, to get input. What I would think is that we could try to get that input and then compile a letter to the PDA that I could present to them with certain concerns. But at this point, I think to meet until you know when the date is of the renewal of the agreement is probably will not be timely.
I guess what my point in doing this was possibly something on that same vein, but doing it now, and that's drafting a letter to the PDA from this council saying that, we're hearing many concerns about what's going on and would like to see the PDA take some action on it. But, I realize it's early before the contract, but I still think coming from us now and knowing that, and maybe, with the same letter or a letter similar to what Council Pantelakis is, we could also send a copy to the PDA, letting them know of our concern.
Well, why don't I find out when the contract expires and get back to the council on that.
But I mean, if it's 2 years away or a year away, what good is that going to do now?
I don't recall that.
It's okay. All right.
But I have it down.
Okay. Thank you.
Very good. Yes, Councilor Pantelakis?
I just think that if we send this letter that we are showing our concerns as far as City Council is concerned about our roads, right. We really have can do absolutely nothing about anything inside of that gate. But before they get to that gate, we certainly can keep our roads clean and be sure that our citizens are protected. And they evidently are not covering their trucks properly, and they're not, because if they were, they would not be dropping all of this stuff on the ground. Because the law says their truck has to be covered from the time that it leaves their destination to their destination from where they come to their arrival.
Of course, another problem too we're getting into is this with the snow that's on the side of the roads. If there's material in there, that can be a danger too in time to come. So I think we've got to address this problem.
Are we all ready for someone to make the motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Actually, Your Honor, one more item, I guess, since we had such a short evening, and it's on a lighter note than the last discussion. I just wanted to let you all know and the folks out there know that I've committed to participate in the Portsmouth Rotary Club's Polar Bear Swim, which is coming up next Saturday. It's a big, relatively new fundraiser for them. It's the second annual one this Saturday. I was thinking that particularly after the last meeting before Christmas there, some of you up here and perhaps many people out there who might like to see me go jump in a lake. In this case, the frigid Atlantic Ocean. So this is your chance to have a hand in that, as well as to support a good cause. The money that the Rotary Club raises through this event goes to support Crossroads House, local scholarships, other good causes here in the local community. So I'll be
It looks like you got a donation already.
All right, look at that. Thank you, John. Thank you very much.
The only thing that is, don't chicken out. Okay?
The event itself takes place at the Newcastle, at the Common out at Newcastle next Saturday. I believe it's 1:00 in the afternoon.
Okay. You've got the warmest part of the day.
Oh, well, we'll see.
Okay, how about a motion?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I know.